Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of Optimal Living Advice, the podcast where we take real questions sent in that address the many struggles of life, and we get them answered for you here on the show, so all of our listeners can benefit, whether it be because they are facing similar struggles, someone they love is facing similar struggles, or they just like to have looks into other people's business, because I know I do. And what a transition, because the person answering these questions is me. My name is Greg Audino, and I am a certified life coach. I also operate my website, gregaudino.com. That's GREGAUDINO.com, on which I create videos and articles that offer what I like to think are new and non-preachy, non-flowery perspectives on many of life's common problems. The site is entirely donation-based, and 10% of all proceeds go to the World Wildlife Fund, because I love animals, and you should too. And that's my first piece of advice for you. You're welcome. So, the guys over at Optimal Living Daily have been kind enough to read a lot of my material from my website on their show, and through that, a friendship was born, a partnership was born, and this podcast was produced. So here we are. We have a lot of really powerful questions lined up for you already that have been coming in, and to kick off our adventure together, let's go with this one. What would you suggest for how to sustain new actions and routines related to wellness? So exercise, waking up the same time each day, food prep, etc. Keyword being sustaining these activities. Yes, a question that I know is on a lot of people's minds these days with all of the emphasis on wellness and personal growth and other things like that keep me employed. Well, for me, it's a two-part answer, because when it comes to habit formation, I have two chunks that I really want to bestow upon you. One that I found based on my own coaching clients and personal execution, and another that I found in my reading. So you'll also get a nice book recommendation out of this one. And we'll start there. There is a wonderful, wonderful book about the science of habit formation called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and it utilizes some really interesting philosophies. In summary, James basically talks about 4 approaches one can take that combine to make a habit virtually unbreakable. So we'll go over those pillars and then create an example for each one. All right. First, you want to make your habit obvious. So creating an environment that supports the new habit with very clear and deliberate triggers, whether it be Post-it notes everywhere or even pairing the habit with something you'll be doing anyway. As an example, if you wanted to start doing more push-ups, say, you could make it obvious by writing that down, stating aloud that you will do them at a certain time and place each day, and leaving triggers there. This could be doing 50 push-ups in your office if you're really ambitious at 5 p.m. before leaving work. Okay? The environment is clear. It's stacked with another habit, the habit of leaving work, and you've probably got a trillion Post-it notes in your office anyway. So realistically, what's one more? Now, second is to make your habit attractive. That comes by maybe joining a group that performs the same habit, whether it's a couple of friends or a formal group you find on the internet somewhere. This plays on pack mentality and the ease of doing things when others are doing them. So if, for example, you wanted to start playing soccer again, just go ahead and put some money down to join a rec league team and join a culture that focuses on soccer and ensures you'll be playing it at least once a week. Third, you want to make your habit easy, which means minimizing the difficulty of each habit as best you can by maybe decreasing the number of steps you need to take. Preparing the environment in advance in such a way that makes it easy to repeat that habit when the time comes, or maybe using technology to help you perform the habit, be it phone reminders or whatever. Maybe you want to start calling your parents more, okay? Within the context of this rule, that would mean putting them on speed dial or incorporating Bluetooth so you don't have to type the number in yourself or spend time scrolling through your contacts, you know? You might also set an alarm on your phone when it's time to call them. Now, last but not least, the habit must be made satisfying, which is to reinforce your habit with rewards on the other side of it and keeping track of how much you perform the habit so you can see all the progress you've made. You want to make sure the habit is aligned with who you want to become, though. So if you're trying to diet and your diet goes well for a week, reward yourself by treating yourself to a spa day rather than eating all of grandma's cookies. Now, what I find really interesting is that James's rules are all based on environment alteration as opposed to sheer willpower. Willpower is overrated, guys. Okay? James is right. Though it's fashionable to want to just push, we're tailored to seek out easy ways to do things. And we have enough we're trying to balance that trying to muscle through everything with pure mental strength it's not as practical as using your surroundings for help. And if you use your surroundings for help, see great results, you'll then have something to believe in and renewed confidence that will actually only help your willpower, if that makes sense. It's a weird cycle, I know, but I'm a weird guy. But that fourth rule of James's sort of bleeds into the findings that I've come across. James is great for sustaining habits, which is, of course, what the question was about. But James's methodology is likely to only last so long if it's not a habit that you believe in intrinsically or get joy out of outside of the reward in that fourth rule, right? So part of sustaining a habit is making sure it is the right habit for you. And when it comes to being who we want to be and making changes for ourselves, there's this weird thing in that the two most common approaches are in direct contrast to one another. Maybe you know where I'm going with this. There's, do I stick to a certain regimen? Or do I just live more freely and follow my heart from moment to moment? Okay, two different things that can yield great similar results for different people, but it can be hard to know what approach is better for us individually, and also what degree of that approach specifically is most useful. So I ask you people, why can't we have both? And here's how to have both and find the right habit. First, it is imperative to get clear about who we want to be and what habits support that vision. In the context of this question that was sent in, sure, we want a sense of wellness. That's good. But what does that look like specifically? Can we create a detailed picture of this? So a track athlete might say, I want to be good at track. Okay, well, throwing, jumping, or running. And then they might say running, and I might ask, okay, well, sprinting, medium distance, or long distance. They might say sprinting. So I say, okay, well, a 40-yard dash, 100 yards, or 200 yards. You see where I'm going with this? The more detailed of a picture we can create, the more our means of getting there will change and be used optimally. Because, in the context of track, a sprinter is not going to train the same way as a long distance runner, even though they both want to be better at track. So, say wellness to you looks like mindfulness specifically. The habits you might want to integrate then are meditation, nature walks, and journaling. Start by setting a goal for how much you want to perform these habits and keep track of how much you do them. And typically you want to steadily increase rather than completely flipping your schedule upside down. So if you don't meditate at all right now, do not jump into 7 days a week, but instead maybe start at 2 days the first week, and then 3 the second, and 4 the third, and so on. Keep track of how many times you perform this habit for a month. That is the regimented part. Now, after each month, when you're checking in with yourself, you might find that you're either not performing the habit as much as you want, or if you are, you're hating your life while doing so. We don't want that. All of the podcasts in the Optimal Living Daily universe are helping us to not hate our lives. So sticking with a habit that's not serving us, it just won't do. For the mindfulness example, you might find that habit is journaling. All right, the habit that you don't like. I know I found this. I've worked a lot on mindfulness, and journaling for me is never one of those things that stuck. Works for a lot of people, and that's great, but I'm just not one of them. So if meditation and nature walks are fine, but journaling isn't, and you've really tried your best, you can follow your heart and your regimen at the same time by substituting it with another habit that supports mindfulness. So for month 2, you might stick with meditation and nature walks as they're clearly serving you, but you might sub journaling out for yoga classes, right? Another habit that can be great for mindfulness. The more you check in with yourself and filter out habits that just don't suit you, the closer you'll get to finding the right habits that do. So find a habit that serves who you want to be as directly as possible. Be clear about when, where, and how often you want to do it. Use your environment to support you. Give it your best shot. And if it doesn't work, substitute it with a similar habit and start all over. That's all she wrote for episode 1, everybody. First episode jitters are officially out of the way. Woo! And I had a great time. I sure hope you did too. If you liked what you heard and you'd like to submit one of your own questions, we would be more than happy to help you out and answer them here on the pod. So please don't be shy. You can submit your own questions to advice@oldpodcast.com. Again, that's advice@oldpodcast.com. Really, really looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. That does it for this one, though, and I really can't wait to talk to you next time. Thanks for stopping in, everybody, and take care.